Hello, professor and classmate. We are the group number 6 and we are going to explain you the mistakes of the essay with the title The Chess Pieces Different Between Systems. It is an essay that tries to contrast the national and international system. Okay, before to start, I would like to make a clarification. This essay is a compare and contrast essay, whose use the comparison and contrast to show how similar or different are two different topics. Nevertheless, it's not necessary to compare or contrast those topics. You can also only compare or only contrast the topic. So this essay is an only contrast essay. Okay, this essay has 5 paragraphs. The first is the introduction, the next 3 are the body, and the last paragraph is the conclusion. So, but for a better explanation of each paragraph, we have divided some elements of each paragraph with a color each one. So we have pointed out the grammatical errors in brown, the thesis statement in purple, the introduction opener in red, appropriate transition words in yellow, and the topic sentences in another color. So all these elements will be developed by my classmate.
Now I will explain the evaluation table, beginning with the introduction, the first aspect, the introduction opener. This essay doesn't have a proper opener because just give a question similar as a title, and for a question to act as a catchy must be a rhetorical question. Second, the opener. We don't agree with that opener, but in the essay, the opener is clearly related with the topic and said the difference between the levels of analysis, the national and the international. Third, the thesis statement. The thesis statement in this essay establishes the difference that will be explained in the rest of the essay. And fourth, this thesis statement is effective, clearly, and represents the type of essay to be developed. Yes, it does. The thesis sets the main 3 differences between the 2 levels of analysis that are being contrasted in the rest of the essay. Now I will explain the aspects of the body paragraph, beginning with the topic sentences. The topic sentences in this essay are too short, and given the nature of this essay, they must follow a sequence, but the topic sentences here lack the transition word to show the sequence correctly. The second aspect, the transition word. This essay doesn't have an appropriate transition word. They use some transition word, but they are not enough for this type of essay. The supporting detail, the third aspect. In this essay, they offer examples of how the levels of analysis are different from the other. And the last aspect, this essay fully complies with this aspect.
I will continue talking about the table. I'm going to explain about the conclusion. And the aspect is there is the thesis restatement and paraphrase. And yes, actually, at the beginning of the paragraph, there is the thesis restatement, allowed to remind of what the essay have proven, the body paragraph, and helps to bring the paper to successful close. Another aspect is there is a summary of previous idea, and there is a summary, although it's a tighter, confused due to the grammatical errors. Another aspect is there is a prediction, suggestions, or call to action, and not exactly. This kind of essay, as a content-only essay, is not the best. Is making predictions, suggestions, or making calls to action. Is better is offering reflection, but this conclusion doesn't really go anywhere. It only summarizing idea and does not offer any opening reflection. And finally, in course, the aspect is grammar and spelling are appropriate. Spelling is correct, but it's some grammatical errors that have been highlighted in the stage above. Another aspect is the online use is easy to identify from this is There is not online, not even a simple form and often online. Another aspect is the title of the essay is appealing, and yes, it is. The title is really appealing because it gives an idea of something related to strategies of power, and that what it is about. Nevertheless, the titles confuse one concept with another, and in this mistake is also appeared in the rest of the essay. And finally, the title of the essay is appropriate to a text? Of course not. And even the title is appealing, it doesn't relate to the content of the essay. The essay is really about comparing two levels of analyzing international relations and has nothing to do with strategies or choice, as explaining of observation below this chart.
I want to go deeper into one aspect, and it is how some concepts have been misunderstood and swapped in many of the sections of this essay. These two concepts are levels of analysis and systems. A level of analysis is not a system. A level of analysis is just a way to group actors that participate in international relations. Now, as to the title, which actually is a little bit catchy, has no relation to the content of this essay. It would have been coherent if the essay covered only the international level, which focuses on interaction of the states and how each state uses its power position in the international system. Then we could be talking about chess. But this essay only gives differences between two levels of analysis. And, well, now, as for the introduction, the question that works as an opener is not a hook because it is just a normal question. It would have worked as an opener if it were a rhetorical question, or a quote, or an anecdote, or statistical data. But there's none of that. Also, in the introduction, the author tells a lie. It says that it will compare and contrast the two levels of analysis, but this is false because we know that the whole essay only talks about the differences. Now, as for the body paragraphs, there's a big mistake because there are no proper transition words. It has transition words, but they are not the proper transition words for this type of essay, which are called contrast transition words, like in comparison, by comparison, unlike, and many others. This essay only has two of them, on the other hand, and however, and it only uses them once. Now, as for the conclusion, the author makes a contradiction because it says that it will be important to know the similarities between levels of analysis, but this essay is only about the differences. It makes no sense. Now, as for the outline, there is no outline. This essay has no outline, not even a simple form of an outline. And finally, as for the grammar and the spelling, there are no spelling mistakes, but there are many grammar mistakes. And I think that's all on the observations of the deficiencies of this essay. Thank you.
Suggestions on how to improve this essay. For the title, we suggest that it should be replaced. This is because it doesn't represent what is going to be developed in the content of the essay. So if it is about the difference between national and international levels to analysis, something like national and international levels, two sides of the same coin, could do a really good job. For the introduction, we have that as for the opener, a catchy one is needed. That is why we suggest a catchy rhetorical question like, levels of analysis help us understand the complexity of international relations. Are their differences more important than their similarities? This rhetorical question will have intrigued the reader to discover why the differences between levels of analysis are important. The body paragraph. We suggest that contrast transition words should be added. such to differ from, however, in contrast, in comparison, by comparison, on the other hand, and some others. As for the topic sentence, we suggest that transition words be added to them. They look very bland and don't show a sequence. For the conclusion, we suggest that this essay must have a better reflection at the end. We have come up with something like this. These differences help us understand better the complexity of international relations and how, to some degree, each level influences the other. For the grammar and spelling appropriateness, we only suggest a dictionary like the Cambridge Dictionary or the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. For the outline, we suggest that it is always better to organize the ideas before making an essay. You can do this by creating an outline which is really like the skeleton of the essay. So this is everything about it. Thank you.